Girls, what was the most obvious hint you dropped, and the guy just didn't get it?
Like and subscribe, or else these'll be in your bed tonight.
My buddy in college was stressing over when to make the move to kiss a girl he liked. While we encouraged him to not wait for the perfect moment and just go for it, he admitted he should have tried to kiss her when they were in the shower. Edit, stressing, not staying. My friend was complaining he was hot because of his long sleeve shirt. I said, oh, I'm sure you'd be just as hot without the shirt. He was so unaware that I finally just kissed him. Complained I was a bit cold, so he gave me a blanket. I then told him there's space for two under the blanket in an obvious flirting tone. He answered with no thanks, I'm not cold. I still tease him with it once in a while. We are married now. Holy shit, I'm mentally slow. I just realized I was him a week or two ago. I went on a second date with a girl to a hockey game, and I don't feel comfortable doing touchy-feely stuff until I outright say I'm ready to commit seriously. So halfway through she says, man, it's pretty cold in here, isn't it? And I said no, if anything I'm a little warm. Things went normally for the rest of the game, but afterwards I got straight ghosted LMAO. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why, but that may or may not be it. It could be anything really, but I hadn't connected those dots yet, so I physically facepalmed when the light bulb went off. At her husbands, bless their hearts. When I went on the first date with my husband, we both lived in the same apartment complex. He had been there a while, so he knew most everybody that lived there, and I had just moved in. He was trying to guess which car was mine. And when he figured it out, he told me, you can tell a lot about somebody by their car. Expecting some cheesy line from him, I said, oh yeah, what can you tell? And he immediately started into a technical spiel about tread wear and tire alignment. I guess he was just trying to impress me with his knowledge because he worked at an auto body shop. It didn't even occur to him that it sounded like he was trying to flirt. I definitely still tease him about that. This was some years ago. I was 22, had been talking to this guy for a while, and was ready to lose my virginity. I was a college student living at home, but my mom and stepdad were on vacation celebrating their anniversary, and I figured this would be the perfect time to make my move. He and I already had a date scheduled, so before we went, I cleaned my room and the entire house from top to bottom. Created a chill playlist on my computer to listen to, shaved/waxed every necessary inch of my body from the forehead down, put on sexy underwear, and waited for him to pick me up. We went out to the movies, and when he dropped me off at home, I invited him in, with the added context, and in a leading, flirty tone of voice, that we would be all alone, and had all the time in the world, to do whatever he wanted. He said, that's alright, I'm sure you want to enjoy this time you get without your parents to be alone. He was sure, and he was wrong. I just stared at him for like 10 solid seconds in silence before I nodded, said yeah that's true, and got out of the car. The walk from my driveway to the front door was the real walk of shame, and I hadn't even gotten any good sex out of it. After that, I sat in my very clean house in my sexy underwear, eating pizza and wondering how that could have gone differently. It was my first time trying to seduce a guy into sex, and it failed miserably. I laughed about it though, and I still laugh about it now. I just figured it wasn't in the cards for me yet. Ended up losing my virginity a few more years later to the guy I'm currently engaged to, so it worked out wonderfully. He's pretty good at picking up what I'm throwing down. Lol. Shaved/waxed every necessary inch of my body from the forehead down. Maybe it was the lack of eyebrows? Asking him to take picture with me, hugged him a couple of times, told him he has nice hair, started smelling him, and told him he smells nice. I even looked in his eyes for like 2 minutes. Turned out he was Gail Mayo FF. When I was like 15 to 16, this girl from school I had a huge crush on kept inviting me to her house when she was alone, wearing the smallest tops and asking for back massages. I never got the hint. Years later when I started going out with my now fiancé, that girl's sister tells my GF, hey, my sister had such a crush on him back in school. I was not a bright teenager. Geez, never missed one that obvious. I know, right? I had confidence issues as a teenager that only went away in my early 20s. My fiance thinks leaving my bedroom door open when she spent the night when we were just friends and she lived out of town and there was absolutely no reason for me to think anything romantic was going on was obvious. I got up and closed the door because the act was on and was low-key miffed. Edit. We were friends for a long time before we got together and she had a meeting early in the morning, so I gave her my bed and slept on the couch. She left the door open thinking I would take the hint. I'm a guy, but I have a story. A couple of years ago, a cute girl at the cash register in a local supermarket, where I was a regular customer at every night, said to me in a clearly flirty way, with a big smile, "OHHI, though you're not coming today, I'm so happy to see you." Her face was shining when she said this, but the dumbass I didn't realize this, and my response was, "But why?" As I said this, her face went red, and I could hear the glass shatter sound echoing in her. I have other stories too, because usually I get the hints 5 years after they happened. You ended that girl's dating career right there. I went out with a really cute guy. We had a good date, had ice cream, went to a movie. He dropped me off at my house. He had his freaking hand on my knee. I kissed his cheek. I tell him I don't think anyone is home. He replies, "I hope you're not locked out." I don't know how much clearer I could have been that he could slide into home base. He texted me a couple days after that, but IDK spark was gone, lol. As a guy, I'm going to go into this story a little. I was working out pretty hardcore. I was talking to some people at work in a restaurant and mentioned that my pecs were pretty sore. I wasn't trying to show off or anything, just casual conversation with coworkers. One of the girls who was a massage therapy student said I should come over and let her massage my pecs. I didn't go over to her place. I'm an idiot. She was hot, like real hot, like super hot. I quit that job with a no-show, no call. They just never heard from me again. Maybe a years later, she came into the new place I was working at with a date. She waited for her date to go to the bathroom and told me when I didn't show up that she was calling all the jails and hospitals looking for me. I guess she really was into me. Sucks. I had my head up my ass over an ex, so I just wasn't in a place to pursue something new. Oh well. You missed hint #2. When I was about 35, I lived in a beach town near a university. My neighbors were all college kids. Next door was 2 college girls. One was always flirting with me. One hit summer day, she turned up at my door in nothing but a long t-shirt. She asked if she could hang out in the S/C. I said sure, and she came over to the sofa I was sitting long ways on and laid with her back to my chest and asked if we could snuggle. I was okay with that. She then asked me to rub her belly, which I did. As you can imagine, after about an hour, I was getting a little worked up and touched her breast while rubbing her belly. She jumped up and stormed out. I was like, WTF. She later said she didn't see me like that. I asked her why she'd show up almost naked, lay between my legs like couples do, and ask me to rub her belly and then get pissed when I try to progress things. She said she looks at me like a big brother. I was like, WTF is your family like? And that is why so many guys in this thread didn't get the hints. It isn't a universal thing. I'm a guy, but I can share my identity as a guy that missed the hints. I went to a store where there was a girl I liked in college. We used a small talk while I browsed and never bought anything. Bring a poor college student. This time I came in the store and she said and we chatted a bit while I shopped. She complained, "I'm going to be home alone tonight. My family is out of town." I replied, "Oh, that's too bad." She says, "I'm off at 5 today. It was 4 at the time. What are you up tonight?" "I'm up for anything." "Oh, nothing. Just sitting at home and watching a movie." My brain must have completely self-destructed because the conversation ended there. I never saw her again after that. She either quit or was avoiding me. I must have been in a daze from school to miss that cue. Guy here missed probably the most obvious hint ever. So my crush's best friend literally came up to and said crush really is into you, but is too shy to come up and tell you. My brain then decides to be like, you are you. No one could ever feel that way about you. She is probably trying to trick you. Don't fall for it. Then I say, if she wants anything, she is going have to come up and tell me herself. A year later, I realized she was telling the truth.